Good morning, everybody. How we all doing today? Happy Saturday, and it's time for some sleepers. Specifically, we're looking for left tackle sleepers. And here's the thing. When you're talking about players that are sleepers, players that you can get on day 3 of the draft, which is really round 4 and on, and even UDFA in some cases, you're usually talking about guys who are long-term developmental projects. A lot of the guys we're going to look at in this video today are developmental projects. So I'm not super interested in this particular slice of the draft. We absolutely need some help at left tackle, but in my mind, we already have a developmental left tackle project in Stone Forsyth. If we are going to draft a left tackle, I want to get somebody who is a blue chipper or at the very least is a reasonable bet to be a day one starter and not completely embarrass himself. To me, adding a left tackle in the 4th round or later is not really helping the case. It's not really moving the needle on this team. It's not really giving us anything we don't have. So I'll say right off the bat that even though I know we have a desperate need at left tackle right now, I'm not big on the projects. However, that being said, there could be some things going on that we can't know about. We have a new offensive line coach. Maybe he's going to look at Stone Forsyth and go, no, non-starter, don't want him, can't do it. Probably not, because Dickerson was here last year, but it's not impossible. Maybe there will be a desire to add a second project, so that way you can let Forsyth and Project Player X compete against each other, and whoever comes out better ends up being your left tackle of the future. That's not the worst idea I've ever heard. There is room on an NFL roster for multiple backup left tackles, especially if they have a little bit of versatility. And we should at least examine the wares here, because there might be one or two guys who are not as developmental as the others. So let's start our search with Braxton Jones of Southern Utah State. A lot of these guys played at smaller colleges. This guy's no exception. His measurables are pretty strong. He's 6'5", 310 pounds, so he's got that left tackle frame. Ran a sub 540 time, so nice 40 time for a left tackle. His 20-yard shuttle was pretty weak, 4.84, not very good, but his arms, super long, almost 35 and a half inches. And the big boards pretty much all say he's going to be in the 4th round, maybe the 5th. So early day 3. The pros with Braxton Jones are he's got that good body. He's already got a pretty filled out frame. He's athletic for his size. Like I said, the sub 540 is notable. He's a decent run blocker. But the main draw of Braxton Jones is his long arms, which give him a lot of range, and he counters well against speed rushes. So he is somebody who knows how to go up against a speed rusher and keep him at bay. He moves well, he slides well, he's a good fit in his own scheme. There is some stuff to like here for sure with Braxton Jones. The main issues with him would just be that he needs to add strength. A lot of these guys that we're going to be looking at left tackle, their weakness is they need to add some strength. Braxton Jones is not much of a run blocker at this point in his career, and in the NFL he will get pushed around in that role, and he is a developmental project. Probably not somebody you can start year 1. And like I said, we already kind of have that guy right now. All right, so next up we're going to take a look here at Spencer Burford of Texas San Antonio. So another smaller school. Got a nice frame on him, 6'4", 304 pounds. Ran a pretty slow 40 time, but a decent 20-yard shuttle. 5.19 seconds on the 40, but only 4.73 on the 20-yard shuttle. Arms, almost 35 inches. Solid, fine, nothing wrong with that. If you look at the big boards, he's projected to be about a 4th round. ESPN says maybe 5th round. Walter Football says maybe 3rd round, but I think you're looking at about a 4th round grade overall on Spencer Burford. And the things to like about Spencer would be his experience. I think he started more than 3 seasons worth of games for Texas San Antonio. He has some versatility. He lined up at different places on the offensive line during his time in college. So if you get him, you might be getting a utility player on that offensive line, despite him projecting best to left tackle. He is a good athlete for his size. I know the 40 time is not good, but some of his more short area quickness measurables are good. He's got long arms, like I said. He's a smart run blocker. He isn't the strongest guy in the world, although he may get stronger as time goes by. But he knows how to use angles and leverage, and he knows how to do combo blocks, stuff like that. He's got that stuff pretty well on lockdown. And he's got really good foot speed. So if you develop him, maybe by year 3 or 4, he'll be a really good pass blocker. But that development is kind of the hang up here. His general technique as a pass blocker just needs work. He's got the tools to be a great pass blocker in the NFL, I think, but he needs to be developed, needs to learn. Overall, he's inconsistent, and again, this is another guy I would say is a project before he's anything in the NFL. Okay, next up we have Max Mitchell of Louisiana. A little bit of a taller guy, 6'6", 307 pounds, so he could pack a couple more pounds onto that frame, and it wouldn't be bad. Ran a very slow 40 time, 5.32 seconds. 3-cone, not very good. 8.1 almost. Really nice 20-yard shuttle, though. 4.65 seconds. His arm length is okay. 33.5. You'd like a little longer, but it's not terrible. Excuse me. A couple of big boards actually like him as a day 2 pick. Sports Illustrated, PFF thinks he has a chance as like a mid to late 3rd rounder. CBS actually thinks he could be a 2nd rounder. I don't buy that at all. But ESPN, the Draft Network, Walter Football see him as more of an early day 3 guy. I think that's the more likely scenario here. But Max Mitchell has a little bit of gas behind him as maybe a late day 2 guy. Can't rule it out. So he's got a lot of experience. I think he might have been a 4-year starter at Louisiana. Played a ton of games. He played against good teams too. Louisiana, during his tenure there, they did not just play against other low-level teams. They played against some elite competition, and Mitchell played well in those games. He's athletic. He's quick in his pass protection. He's quick on his slides. He's quick in getting up and getting in front of the rushing linemen. He's got some good quickness in general, I think. He slides well. Excellent fit for his own scheme. And I know you wouldn't assume that looking at his speed, but obviously when you're a left tackle, it's not all about just straight line speed. There's a lot more to it than that, and he is a great fit for his own scheme. Also, he does have some right tackle potential. He did do it a little bit at Louisiana, I believe, and if you look at his frame, he could add some pounds, and it wouldn't be beyond the pale. So you could see him bulk up maybe as much as 15, 20 pounds and be more of a right tackle. Not impossible. The issues with Max Mitchell are the same issues you would probably expect from a player in this range, which is his strength is lacking. He has the wherewithal and the quickness and the athleticism to be a good move tackle, play in space, playing that zone scheme, but his strength is lacking. And if you want him to be an effective run blocker, you will need to play him in a zone scheme. If you try to do a more man-blocking scheme, I do think he's going to get bullied a lot in run blocking. Now, that's not a problem for us, but it could be a problem for future us. What if we decide to go to another offensive scheme? So we can't really worry about that right now. At the end of the day, Max Mitchell is a probably 4th-round guy. I'm not worried about taking a guy like that and then switching offensive schemes to something he can't run in 2 or 3 years. But it is something of note that he's probably only going to be good in that zone blocking scheme. But Max Mitchell, interesting mid, I guess you would call him a mid-round prospect because he's probably a 4th-rounder. And we're moving on. Okay, next guy I want to take a look at for a second here is Kellen Williams. Kellen Williams. Probably messed that up. My bad. All right, so he's an Arizona State guy, so here's a college that we actually have some familiarity with because Pac-12. Tall guy, 6'7", only 301 pounds though. He could legitimately add 25 pounds to that frame, and it wouldn't make him unviable as a player. Ran a sub 4.940, so freakish straight line speed. Pretty good 3-cone, 7.77. Really nice shuttle, 4.43. So these running times for an offensive lineman, really good. Kind of got short arms, 32.3, not great. Not short, but kind of short. And his his big board rankings, PFF thinks he's actually like an early third round pick, which I'm not really buying, but that's what they say. Everywhere else says fourth or fifth round pick. TDN says late fifth. ESPN says early fourth. CBS says late fourth. Walter Football says probably closer to the fifth. So you're probably looking at like a fourth or fifth round pick for Kellen Williams. But there's some really interesting stuff here with this guy for sure. He's a decent athlete. I mean, these 40 times and 3-cone times and shuttle times speak for themselves. He's got great body control. He knows how to put his body in the right places to give himself maximum leverage. Plays well in space. He's a good pass protector. I know his arm strength isn't ideal, but it's good enough for what he needs to do as a player. Going to be a good fit in his own scheme because he's able to slide, able to move, able to get up to the second level and throw blocks. He's got good technique. He's not somebody who's going to come out of college and necessarily just be desperately in need of a coach to tell him what to do. So this is a guy who you could look at and say, hey, if we get this guy in the fourth round or even fifth round, not necessarily just a project. Maybe somebody who in the best case scenario could start for you in that first year. I don't think it's beyond the pale. The issues with Kellen would be his run blocking, which is not surprising when you look at his height and his weight. He is too tall, and that is something that hurts when you're trying to get leverage against opposing defensive linemen. He does need to bulk up. He does need to gain some power. He has the frame for it, but he's still got to do it. And his arms are a little bit short, like we said. Definitely not anywhere close to a blue chipper, but if we get down to that fourth or fifth round, he's there, and we haven't addressed left tackle yet. He might be one of my favorite guys in this range. So Kellen Williams, I'll learn how to pronounce it if we draft him, but interesting guy to watch. Okay, next up we're going to do Dare Rosenthal of Kentucky. Another slightly bigger school, and this guy is very, very lopsided. And that's going to be an issue in the NFL, which may very well end up being why he may go undrafted. But TDN and ESPN both actually think he's got a shot in the 6th or 7th round. This dude is 6'7" and only 290 pounds. So he might have to throw on like 30 pounds to have a better frame. Now, what he loses in having the right size, he does make up for with a 4.88 40 time, very solid, and a decent arm length, 33.5 inches. So there's definitely work to be done here, but it's interesting, right? So let's take a look at the prospect a little bit. He's an extremely physically gifted player, incredibly quick, and he's actually really strong. You wouldn't assume it looking at his frame, but he's actually got a lot of functional strength. And he can play in any scheme. Obviously, we're concerned with the zone guys. He can play zone. He's great in space. He's long, like we said, 33.5 inches for a left tackle in this area of the draft is actually very impressive. This is definitely a guy who you'd like to take, stash on your bench for 2 years, and then that third year you hope he's something. So another decent project. Again, we kind of already have a project, and our project is actually a little bit taller and maybe a little bit more athletically notable than Rosenthal, but he's got to be a consideration here. The issues with him are his inexperience. Hasn't played the tackle position for very long. I think it was like 2 or 3 years. Very raw. He's not ready to play yet at all. His technique is poor. You're going to have to hook him up with a really good coach. He's got some off-field issues. I can't remember the exact nature of what they were. It was nothing terrible, but he did get into some off-field trouble. And he is a pure long-term project. If you get Dare Rosenthal, you would consider yourself lucky if he's starting by year 3. And he might just be a career backup. Okay, final guy, Vidarian Lowe of Illinois. And this is not the first time I've evaluated an Illinois offensive lineman in the last couple years. Let's see what we got here. So he's got a more normal frame for a left tackle. 6'5", 314 pounds. That sounds about right to me. Runs a 5.22 40. It's not very good, but 3 cones okay, 7.8. Shuttle is okay, 4.71. Very nice arm length, though. Look at those arms. 35.4 inches. We got a Kevin Durant over here, basically. The big boards all paint him as being like a late 6th, maybe 7th round pick, maybe even a UDFA. So you might not even have to draft this dude. All right. So the pros with Lowe are he's experienced. I think he has like 3+ years starting at Illinois. He's well-rounded. He's capable as a run blocker and a pass blocker. He doesn't have a huge lean towards one side. He's got a great body. I mean, if you look at this frame, it looks like a left tackle. He played much better in 2021, so he is improving rapidly. And if he continues to improve into 2022 and beyond, you may have yourself a viable player in the future. He is smart off field. I remember reading some stuff about how apparently he's already got a wife. He's got 2 kids, and he's academically scoring very well as well. So he's balancing all these different aspects of his life. And hey, I'm not going to discount the value of that. He can play in just about any scheme. He's got good strength. He's not one of these left tackles who gets pushed around in the run game. Solid athlete overall, and he's got those long, long arms. So Vederian Lowe is a UDFA target that I would put at the very top of that list. The issues with him are developmental, of course. He's going to need some grooming and coaching. His technique is rough. He wins a lot with his athleticism and his physical traits more than his technique. He does need work there, and he's older. I believe he's already, I think he might be like 25 before he gets a chance to play in the NFL. And combined with the fact that he is developmental, you're looking at a guy who might not see the field until he's 27, 28, if I recall correctly. So Vederian Lowe is somebody who I would look at in the 7th round or UDFA, but that's really about it. And that's it for this video, guys. Those are my sleepers at the left tackle position. There are some other guys that I didn't mention as well who might be intriguing, but those 6 guys stood out to me. Not super into taking another left tackle project, like I said, but if we did, these guys have my attention. So see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. We will be talking about another offensive line area with players that could go a long way in helping this team be better for the next decade. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks.